focus less on goals, but focus more on habits. Because when focusing on habits, that's where, for me, the magic is.
Welcome to Making Progress, the podcast where we want to showcase our members and the people that visit our space and community. Today, I'm excited to introduce you to Joris de Ruiter. Joris, you're a founder of Convert Calculator, but could you share a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, of course. Thanks for having me, by the way. So my name is Joris, and I'm the founder of Convert Calculator. Started this company in 2017 as a side project next to my freelance gig. I was a programmer back then, still am. Was a side project for about a year, and then I decided to go full time at it, and it was around the same time as I joined Progress Bar. So
it's been a while.
Yeah, it is. It has. Yeah.
So, I mean, I'll just rearrange the question a little bit, but so at that point, what brought you to Progress Bar? Like, because you just started, I recall you did you were ramen profitable, if I can say.
Yeah. I think I did around $2,000 a month in monthly recurring revenue. That is, and so I think the main reason why I joined was I was looking for a space where I could meet other founders that were facing similar challenges. And I tried a bunch of other places. I must say, in the end, I didn't really find other founders that faced similar challenges, but I did find a really, really cool community of entrepreneurs that were very inspiring in their own way. So I didn't find what I was looking for, but I found something better, I guess. Yeah.
Nice. Thanks. So when you come in, what motivates you? Why do you jump out of bed in the morning and come to the co-working or work from home or whatever you work from? What motivates you to do what you do?
So I think that question is twofold. So first of all, I love building stuff. So I still do a lot of coding on the product. There's another developer on the team, but it's still my responsibility, my day-to-day responsibility. I just love creating products, creating features, that excitement that it brings.
And quickly, I think we haven't really touched upon what Convert Calculator does for people, right?
No.
Can you explain how?
Yeah, so it's a bit of an evolution. So when I started the product, it was basically a way for a company to build a very simple price quoting tool for their website, with very limited possibilities and functionalities. So that's why it was a perfect side project, because it was a small scope, wouldn't take me a lot of time to develop, and it got some traction. But I've been playing cat and mouse with my customers since the start, because they would want something, another feature, which I or now we don't offer, and we're playing catch up with them. So what started as a simple calculator tool became a form builder, became a complex form builder. Now we're at a place where it's small businesses use us to build micro apps, and maybe sometimes they try to go a little bit more beyond that, but they're not always successful. And that's the next step in the evolution of the product, and that's that we become a full-fledged no-code app builder. So that's a little bit of what our product does, and we do it mostly for small businesses. And the reason why we do it is to make their lives easier, to automate their business processes, so they have less stress, less workload. So that brings me to the second reason I come out of bed The first reason is like I love to build stuff, but the second reason is I love to build it for this audience because I really love entrepreneurship. I love entrepreneurs in general. And it's amazing to see how they automate stuff, create time for themselves to pursue other things. Could be business things, but could also be like personal things, like having a founder that has more time with his children is also like very cool to be part of that. So
Definitely, yeah.
Yeah.
In a sense, you provide a whole lot of value.
Yeah, for a very limited amount of people right now,
Yeah.
because our product is not like hugely popular.
How many? Can you share something about like how many users you have?
Yeah, we have around 1,000 paying customers.
Yeah.
So we are a profitable business. So you can say we are a stay up instead of a startup. I think
Scale up.
A stay up. That was
Stay up.
a stay
Is
up.
that new?
That was I just heard that the other day. Like we're not a startup anymore because we started in 2017, but we managed to. We are bootstrapped, so we managed to stay up, to keep our pants up.
By Dutch definitions, you're probably a scale up already.
Could be, but I don't know what it entails. I don't know.
I don't want to throw it out. We'll discuss later. Yeah. All right. So, and then we'll get to like what you're working on with Convert Calculator in a bit. First, I want to get into like how do you set goals as a person, but maybe also as a team, as a growing team. So how do you do that? Like, how do you define what you want to do? Because I know you also have some side projects that you work on. I know you're passionate about not doing just Convert Calculator.
Mm-hmm.
So I find it very interesting. And I know that everybody does it in a different manner. So I'm just curious, and I think people listening as well.
Yeah, so I've got a pretty holistic approach to setting goals because I don't think you have like buckets in your life. Like I don't think you have like your work bucket and your social bucket and your personal bucket. It's like all like intertwined in some way. So I try to look at goals in that fashion as well. So I have a story I wrote for myself, how I want my life to look like in 10 years. And I wrote that, I think 5 or 7 years ago or something. And I've been revisiting that. So that was like that's the most abstract way of looking at it. So, and I can't recall it, like I can't recite it word for word, but it's like it has to do with.
It's not affirmations that you give yourself every day. It's just
no. It's like a story. So this is how my life should be in 2030 or something.
And you look at it every year, or like
So that story is very abstract. So it's
nice.
Like this is the place where I want to live, and not the name of the place, but like the surroundings and like in nature or whatever. This is how my family should look like. And so that's like a very abstract way. And then every year I would read this and first of all ask the question, am I on track on getting there?
Yeah.
And then I have my like 3-year goals, which are also very abstract. I wouldn't say they're goals because you can't really track them that well. But they could also be like habits I want to form and have in 3 years.
Like better sleep, more fit, whatever.
Yeah.
Like that level of abstract.
Yeah. Yeah. And for a Convert Calculator, like a 3-year goal would be to have like a very self-sustaining team, for instance. That would be a perfect 3-year goal. And a perfect 10-year goal in that story for Convert would be to help 1 million small business owners to automate their business processes. That would be like the 10-year, that's the 3-year. And then every year I make a year goal list and then I go down to a quarter and everything gets more concrete. And then I do a quarter and then I do a week.
Yeah.
So every week, every Sunday, I look at my quarterly goals and I will check like, what do I need to do this week to accomplish these quarterly goals?
Exactly.
And those quarterly goals are like pretty concrete.
Yeah. Specific.
Yeah, very specific.
I was going to ask, like, how do you achieve these 3-year goals this and makes total sense.
Yeah.
Well, I'm looking forward to reading your story at some point. if I'm
I
allowed.
share it off podcast. Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. Off
Yeah.
podcast. Makes sense. All right. So that's then also how you go about achieving them, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And how do
But-
you make, for example, your team contribute?
So that's another story, and I don't think I have that locked in yet, because we don't actually do goal setting for Convert Calculator, not at all.
KPIs or
No KPIs, no nothing. We do have a shared vision, or I created a vision that we all share, and a sense of purpose and a set of core values. That's that's the area I focused on with our company. And because I think it's more for, like, every individual has his own approach to goals. Like my co-founder, he doesn't do any goals. That's his, that's his philosophy. Like, and it's not better or worse. I think it's just different. And if I would enforce like KPIs on people, I think I would constrain them too much. So a clear vision, and that vision right now, and that is also like about the future of the company. That vision right now is that in X years time, so I don't even know in how many years time, our tool should be able to build 80% of the web apps you can build, and 80% of the people that know how to use a computer should be able to use our tool. So that's like that's one way of phrasing where we want to go as a company. Another way of phrasing it would be building an app is like climbing a mountain, and we want to make them more flat. And we want to make it a hike instead of climbing a mountain. So you still need good climbing shoes. You still need to have a reasonable condition.
Yeah.
But it's not like climbing a mountain. So that's another way of phrasing it. And I think for our people, that's enough to know what they should be working on.
Yeah.
And I try to give them the freedom to work towards that the way they want to. Yeah.
So, and having said that, so what is it that your team's currently working on?
So that's like the 80% thing. It's what I just said, is that a lot of companies or a lot of businesses use us to create micro apps. So you can see that as like an interactive part of a website. So most people know, if they go to a website of a bank, that you can do like mortgage calculations. That's basically a micro app. It's an embedded app in a website. So our tool allows people to build those apps in every space possible. But what they can't do is build fully capable web apps, where we have some missing features for that. So we have been working on filling these gaps, and we've been working at filling those gaps for like the entire time we are operational, because our customers demand more and more functionality. But we decided that in the current code base, it's just not possible to reach that level of complexity with our tool. So we decided to do a complete rewrite of our application to build it in the stack we really want to build it in 2024. And that's different than what we have right now. So that's an amazing journey, because
it's great, almost crazy.
Yeah.
Well, that's like, I don't know, but it seems like a ridiculous amount of work to undertake, and especially within a year.
It is. It's it's crazy, but it's very rewarding as well. So I think if we would ignore the problems that we have, we could like stretch it, but then we wouldn't feel proud of the work we are doing, and because we need to keep on making compromises. You know?
And I assume it doesn't relate with the values that you set as a company.
Yeah, that's true, because we really, what we think is important, that people can be proud of their work, and we can only make people proud of their work if they have like enough freedom and autonomy to build something cool the way they want to build it. And that's like, we're too locked in into the current frameworks. Like this is a bit technical, maybe too technical for this podcast, but like starting all over again, starting from scratch, allows us to, from a technical perspective, to choose the stack that we want to. So for the developers, it's amazing, and one of the developers is me. So and also for the product people, so my co-founder and the designer, it's amazing because they can rethink all the stuff that's like meh. We can as a team can rethink all those things.
Yeah.
And make it better. And
So
that's amazing.
It's a big challenge, but it's also kind of a luxury that you can, I guess.
Yeah, it is, because we now have that product that's generating revenue. So it's definitely a luxury. And I read in it was a book or a blog post about, I don't know, but about like you should first build a prototype and then build a real thing. That's a very common thing of saying.
Yeah.
But I see what we have now as a prototype. Although our customers don't see it as a prototype. But it is a prototype in a sense, because like we made all those shortcuts just to see is there demand here, is there demand there? Does this work for somebody? Does this work for somebody? It's all just prototypes.
And do you also like have like a ton of technical debt that you can immediately erase with the new version?
That's another way of phrasing it.
Yeah.
And when I started this product, I wasn't a very seasoned developer, so I made a lot of choices that, thinking now, I would have made them differently.
Yeah.
And it's all part of the process, and that's also the reason why in a couple of years we will think about this rewrite and think, we need to do it all over again because you learn so much on the way, and then you want to rethink. You rethink stuff, and
it sounds like you're in a good spot. So, but we do all face challenges, and like you said, you came in here and you did like 2K MRR, and of course, you at that point you're not sure that it's going to become anything. What is like? Can you share a challenge that you overcame with your team or alone before you got to where you are?
So I think the biggest challenge came in 2021. Me and my girlfriend, now wife, we went to Australia, and I like in the early days I was inspired by the 4-hour work week, and in some way I was working towards that 4-hour work week. And when we are in Australia, we were planning on being there long term, or at least like for a longer trip. And I had that 4-hour work week. I worked like 4 hours every week, not more. So in a way I succeeded, but the problem was that I spent 4 hours working, but I spent 40 hours worrying. And that became more and more and more. The worrying became more and more and more. Because like when I had nothing to lose. And when we were like in 2021, we were reasonably sized, or if you compare it to now, maybe not, but like we did 7K a month.
Yeah.
So it was more than enough for my income, for like to more than enough for me.
It's a difficult phase where you're like, you make enough to eat and pay rent, but it could any moment it can go south. And
I was feeling that all the time.
Makes sense. And if you're busy working, you know you're doing whatever you can, so you worry less.
Yeah. So I wasn't doing the work, but I had the worry of the work, and I have been like minimizing time in my inbox. So I wouldn't look at my email a lot, but then I would look at my email once a week, and then it would explode. So I had that stress all the time. So, and then I thought, okay, I know what I need to do. I came back home because of COVID. We came home early, and then I knew what I needed to do was to hire a bunch of programmers. But and I would do the business, because then I wouldn't have the worry of because most of the worries were in bugs. Like stuff would break all the time. I needed to fix it. I wasn't like spending enough time on my laptop to fix those things. So it was constant stress. So I said to myself, I need to hire some programmers and focus on the business. But like contemplating this a lot, I decided, no, this doesn't make me happy. So then I thought, okay, I should sell. But then I contemplated that a lot, and I thought, no, that's not the case either. And so I just let it go, started my focus on other projects. I let it simmer for a while, and then it hit me. I should hire a business, or I should find a business co-founder, so I can still do all the technical stuff. I think that was and you asked what was the challenge here? The challenge was, I think, swimming against the current a little bit, because all technical founders face this at some point, and most of them, they sit in the CEO's seat, and that's something I didn't want to do. But I was a bit afraid of what would happen if I wouldn't do it. But I did it, and I'm happy I did that.
Maybe afraid to give up control or give up, because you were alone until that point.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean, I can feel that.
Yeah, one sec. I don't think this come across right. Comes across a bit whiny.
No, it doesn't.
No?
No. I mean, I'm as you know, I am still working alone on what I do, and I always wonder, could I build a team? And I'm pretty convinced I wouldn't like that, because you get there's a whole lot of downsides to working with other people, right? And there's also a whole lot of upside, of course. But at some point you have to make the decision. But once you make the decision to start working with people, there's not an easy way back, right? You can't say, no, I don't like doing sharing responsibilities and direction and vision and etc.
So I'm so happy that I did, because there was no energy left in me to improve the product, to make it flourish, and finding Bas, my co-founder, he brought all that energy, that positive energy, and I think because of his arrival, I think we are now at a very good place.
Yeah, the growing team. How many are with you now?
No, we're now at 7, and we're looking for a new developer. So hopefully 8.
What kind of developers?
So mostly it's like a full stacker. We don't care about the experience that much, so we would like to hire a young person. We do think that being experience doesn't help a lot. What's really interesting is being a self-starter and being able to learn fast. Yeah. And it's also we need to do that as well, because that new stack was a new programming language. We needed to learn a lot of different paradigms. It's something that comes with the job. So experience is not that important, but being a self-starter is. Yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, maybe someone's listening. Maybe in 2 years from now, you still get applications. Who knows? All right. Joris.
Yeah.
I think we're close to the end, but I want to know what's next for you. After this redesign and rebuild, do you already have goals after that?
Yeah. So we call this the V3. So because we didn't do a complete rewrite of the code base, but this is probably this is the third big step in the evolution of the product. So after this, we want to expand the suite, because businesses not only need a good website or web app, but they also need a very good email marketing tool. And there are a bunch of those out there, but they don't integrate well with other tools. So we want to build something that's very integrated in the suite. And the same goes for a good checkout experience. And the same goes for digital documents, for instance. A lot of businesses need to need to create documents that are signable, for instance. There's still a lot of paper trail. That paper trail is mostly digital now, but there still need to be tools that generate that paper trail, and we want to be part of that as well. So if you look at the product, that will be the focus. My focus would be less in operations, I guess. I'm very interested in generative AI right now. So either in the product or maybe outside of this product, I really want to do something with that. So I'm not completely sure, actually. So I know like I know my 10-year path, but in what way business, like how business is manifested in that, I don't know for sure. But that's also part of the journey and part of the fun, I guess.
Keeps it exciting.
Yeah.
So, Joris, what advice would you give like that younger version of yourself who was doing the side project, doing like 2K MRR, and not sure what to do with that? I think a lot of people have been there, but there's also a lot of people who are there or are going to be there.
Yeah, that's a great question. So on a more detailed level, doing things that don't scale.
Yeah.
So having talks with your customers. So setting up calls and like picking their brain. And also like not focus too much on creating a self-serve product, but also focus on creating a solution that really works for your audience. And so that's more of like a product on a product level, I guess. If I look more towards productivity, I would say, and we haven't discussed this much, but to focus less on goals, but focus more on habits. Because when focusing on habits, that's where, for me, the magic is. Like I had the habit last year to learn a little bit of Rust. That's a programming language every day.
Mm-hmm.
Could be 5 minutes. And that would help me to, like, now I'm pretty fluent with Rust. Not there yet, but still. Like setting, I've got the goal for a side project, 1,000 visitors per month. Yeah, it's very empty.
So
If
what
you
is
don't
like
have
a
the
habit that you do to fuel that goal?
So a very small thing, and it maybe sounds silly, but a very small thing is to look at the dashboard every day. Look at like Ahrefs, so because that's mainly through SEO.
Yep.
So look at dashboards every day. See if you're where you're making progress, where not. Because if you know where you're not making progress, then you know what you need to do.
Yeah,
it's a very small habit, and then you'll get confronted with it every day. If that counter stays at 0, you know that you need to do something. So that's a very small thing. But also like a goal like being healthy. It's no, you should aim to eat 3 healthy meals a day. That's a habit. So I try to stick with the habits and not with the goals too much. Like if it's more short term. For the long term, goals are fine. Yeah.
Do you want to share anything about the side project before we wrap up?
Yeah, so that's cool because my number one passion is surfing.
Yeah.
And I live in the Netherlands. So surfing can be a little bit of a challenge because there are not always waves. There are some good moments, but there are a lot of bad moments. So you need to know exactly when you need to be at the beach. And there are forecasting tools out there, but they don't focus much on these areas of the world, like the Dutch Sea, but also like the Mediterranean. Like there's a lot of seas and oceans that those forecasting platforms don't focus on. It's mostly focused on Australia or America, but there are a lot of surfers in Italy, in Denmark, in the Netherlands, in Norway. They just don't have the same tools. Mm-hmm. And I've created SurfNerd, surfnerd.com, and that's a tool for that surfers can use to get better forecasts. And I use a lot of machine learning algorithms and try to use a lot more to get better predictions with that. So that's also one of the reasons I'm interested in AI, because you can you can build amazing predictions with it. So yeah, that's my side project. So yeah.
All right. Thank you. Is there anything else you'd like to share?
No, that's it. You can't find me anywhere because I don't have any Twitter. Or you can find our product at convertcalculator.com, but I don't have any socials.
That was my last question. That would have been my last question. Like, where can people find you?
Yeah. Oh, maybe like one more tip. What the question you asked, like, don't spend too much time in your inbox and in Twitter, on Twitter and LinkedIn. There's a bunch of founders that get very much success with that, but most of it is just wasted hours. It's just my humble opinion.
Build product, deliver value.
Yeah.
You should be good. All right. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for listening. This was Making Progress.